Hi everyone, my name is Ali and today I will present you my research project about the necessity of higher education in Kazakhstani society. So let's begin. Uh, can you say what role of higher education and universities play in our lives? Because I suppose it's huge. Because nowadays the vast majority of Kazakhstan's young people study at universities or colleges, and this time is called by many as the best time in life. However, many youngsters are beginning to have doubts about the fact that without higher education, it will not be possible to build a professional career in any field. Thus, it can no longer be said with certainty that higher education is necessary. Also, due to the current situation, global situation with the coronavirus pandemic, the overwhelming numbers of countries have transferred many areas of life online, including learning at the universities and schools, which contributed to the development of other types of education. And I'm sure that uh, this paper can be very useful for Kazakhstani youngsters who are about to go to college or university, or for those who have doubts about whether they have chosen the right path of study. The main goal of this research project is to clarify the need for higher education in Kazakhstani society and its importance in social life. In addition, the main goal of the project, the main questions I have to answer were is it possible to build a professional career without higher education in Kazakhstani firms, and is higher education worth several years of study? Let's move on to the literature review. The first part of the review is the benefits of higher education. There are two of them, social and individual benefits. According to a 2012 paper by Kilanen, having a university degree helps to reduce unemployment and get a job with higher salaries. Also, this statement can be supported by the work of Ma, Pender and Welch, which they wrote in 2016, where they emphasized that a higher education diploma gives more opportunities and options for work, since in some specialties the diploma is always compulsory. The second section in literature review is the problem of higher education. I also identified two main issues: decline in the effectiveness of the university and the importance of the university. As Hardy stated in his work in 2018, the effectiveness of the university remains in question since knowledge from the university will always be presented to a subjective point of view, and it is presented by a person. Also, Harney notes that universities often impose a life or political point of view. Other authors agree with Harney, as stated in their work, which they wrote in 2015, Fakturina, Morozkina and Solovenova. In today's fast world, the knowledge that was obtained even a year ago can no longer be called relevant, since something new has been studied or discovered. Although I found some information from academic sources and from reliable authors, this data was still insufficient. Even after the literature review, I still had a few gaps that needed to be filled. Its attitude specifically towards Kazakhstani society, opinion of students of Kazakhstani universities, and is higher education compulsory? Since we live in Kazakhstan, it's important for me, first of all, how this topic concerns specifically Kazakhstani society and Kazakhstani students. Also, I needed the opinion of Kazakhstani students, which I could only get through an interview or survey. In addition, although I found information about the advantages and problems of higher education, I couldn't find a clear answer whether higher education is required. Now let's move on to the methods. In total, 28 people took part in my work. 26 people were interviewed by the questionnaire, and I also interviewed two students in a personal conversation. In order to select suitable candidates, I had two criteria. It's age from 70 to 23, and second is the person should be a student of a Kazakhstan university. Also, I choose the sampling method as a random purposeful sampling. Um, I use two data collection methods. It's web-based survey and semi-structured interview. Due to today's situation with coronavirus pandemic, the most safety way is to conduct them online. And what about the types of questions? For survey, I used multiple choice questions and yes/no questions. And for interview, I mostly used open-ended questions. I collected data in 2 steps, and the duration of this was about 1 week. First step was 5 days for web-based survey. The maximum time that a survey of 10 questions could take was 5 minutes. Also, the survey was conducted through Google Forms. Second step of data collection procedure was 2 days for semi-structured interview. I conducted an interview with 5 questions and every interview took about 17 to 20 minutes. One interview I conducted via Discord because we had an agreement, and the other interview via Zoom. And the consent forms were sent in advance and also signed by the interviewees. Now is the time for the results and analysis. The first major finding was ineffectiveness of education. According to the survey, more than a third of students choose learning ineffectiveness as something they dislike about university studies. There are two possible reasons for these results: online learning and inappropriate learning system. But since online learning is a temporary reason, let's look at an inappropriate learning system. For an explanation, you can take the words of Bob, name has been changed, from the interview. Only the knowledge that the university provides will be defective or even outdated in a few years. Thus, in university studies are not always the best option since they can be outdated. Also, Abuhava, Gichard, Bakenov, and Suleimanov conducted a survey in 2014 where it was found that among the surveyed students there is an opinion that the knowledge gained at the university is not sufficient for further professional work. The second important discovery was the necessity of higher education diploma. One way or another, all respondents noted that higher education is needed for professional work. Half of the participants noted that it is mandatory for some specialties, as noted earlier in literature review and in other methods section. Also, the other half believes that higher education is compulsory for all specialties. And about diploma compulsory for some specialties, uh, it can be said that mandatory diploma for some specialties is correct and necessary, and this idea can be supported by a statement from an interview with Ivan, the name is changed, that it is scary to imagine how many deaths there would be in the world if people without higher education were taken into surgeons, how many deaths would be due to collapsed bridges that were built by builders without education. And the last main finding is that higher education affects. By this I mean that higher education plays a role in the professional work according to the survey results. More than half of the students are not sure that a career in a Kazakhstani firm is possible without a diploma. This question was included in the survey to see whether students agree that having a higher education diploma offers them a competitive edge over those who do not. It should be said here that although higher education is not always a mandatory criterion, one shouldn't assume that it doesn't solve anything. Here I want to quote Bob, name has been changed, from the interview. People who want to study go to universities. As a result, when applying for a job, if there is a choice between two equal candidates, it is preferable to choose the one who has a higher educational diploma. Also, Kilonen supports the status of the diploma, who, in the work of 2012, cites as an example the statement of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which states that the higher the status of a person's diploma, the lower the unemployment rate and the salary received increases several times. Summing up the results of the entire research project, I would like to say that the main tasks and questions that were posed at the beginning of the research project were achieved and answered accordingly. I would also like to note that my personal thoughts about importance of higher education in Kazakhstani society have undergone some changes. Firstly, it must be said that looking at the answers of the students who were interviewed, one cannot say that everyone has absolutely the same opinion. Someone thinks that higher education is necessary, while others even consider it as a waste of time. However, drawing up a big picture of literature review, uh, questions, interviews, surveys, and academic sources, and my interpretation of this data, um, we can say that a professional career in Kazakhstani society is uh, possible without higher education. In most cases, employers value the knowledge, experience, and skills of the employee uh, at the first place than his diploma. However, it should be admitted that with a diploma of a prestigious university, a person's chances of finding a job increase somewhat. Also, for some specialties in law, um, diploma is still needed. Doctors, builders, scientists, lawyers, and other professions must be qualified, and rightly so. In the final, I would like to say that my work will help young people determine with what methods they will use to build their careers and where they will receive knowledge for this. And I just want to say that think twice before choosing a career of your life. And thank you for your attention, and goodbye.